Hey everybody, welcome back to our channel and welcome back to our homestead. So today I just wanted to do a little bit of a walkthrough of the outside of our property in all of its messy glory because it's disgusting right now. I don't go outside much when it's cold. It gets messy and I'm not outside to maintain it. So what we're left with is overwinter mess and kids playing mess. And now we have this tree mess. If you caught yesterday's video, we had our tree service friend stop by the homestead and he took down 3 dead red oak trees for us. He does, the hard work. He gets the trees down, but we're left with the mess, which is, it's expected, but we've got our work cut out for us. So I'm just going to kind of walk you through the property to show you what it currently looks like, and kind of talk about what our plans are, because we don't plan to stay here forever. Our goal is to get some raw acres. I'm hoping for maybe 10, 15. I mean, I'll take as much as I can afford, but 10 is our goal. With that said, we still have to live and sustain ourselves on our current property. So we're kind of in limbo. We're kind of trying to figure out what can we do now to sustain us and to keep going and to grow our food and to keep our animals producing and providing for us without doing too much, because we don't know where we'll be in the near future. We don't know when, and we're not trying to move to another property with tons of, outside animals. So we've got our chickens and our ducks right now. And a lot of people ask, well, are you going to get goats? Are you going to get, more animals, cows, things like that? And the answer is yes. We just don't know when. I'm kind of iffy about getting goats this year because as much as I want to jump into that journey, I don't know that, our future property is going to be fenced in and how quickly we could get fences up. I don't know, as far as shelters go, if we buy completely raw land from scratch, we're going to have to erect buildings, and I don't want to have to lug goats with us and have to hurry up and do that stuff halfway. So we're kind of in limbo this year, and I'm going to kind of walk you through what we have going on, what we feel is important to pour into the property for us now that will also benefit future potential buyers of this house. So here is what we're living in right now. So this is our dirt road, and you can see how close the house is to the front of the road, and that is something I strongly dislike about being here. I definitely want to be more tucked back on our future property. And so our property starts right where those bushes are. We have all this, and we have straight down our 3 acres ends way down there at our neighbor's mailbox. That is our side pasture. So right now we have tree cleanup mess to deal with. From the front of the property, you can see our garden over there next to the well house. Over here is our wood pile. Before our property became a mess of trees, it was just this mess that we had. And so where my husband chops all of our firewood, and then we stock our firewood over there. So that's close enough to the house to grab and then bring there. We bring it through the front door, and then on the other side of the chimney is our wood stove. So behind the wood pile is our neighbor's fence. So that goes straight back. So our property is one big rectangle. And as you can see, it's also an obstacle course right now. So this is the side of our house. There's a back awning where we store things under, keep them out of the weather. So where you see the red posts is where our property ends. Now I'm in my back field. I'm looking up to the front of the property. There's the back of our house. So our hope is to fence this pasture off right about where you see the stroller. And we're gonna fence it off straight this way, straight to the neighbor's fence. And then we'll have all of this pasture space connected to our barn. Our property continues on. It's hard to see through the brush back here, but our property goes all the way to those trees in the background. So we're hoping to do rotating pastures if it's not going to be too costly to put up the fencing, so we're kind of playing it by ear. So from the back of our house, looking into the pasture that I was just standing in, this is our view. So we've got our IBC totes that we keep filled with water that we haul in. And those sit on the side of the shed. In between the shed and the chicken run, there's this open L-shaped spot. We're hoping to put the extra shed that we have, we hope to build and put here so that we can make our own little duck house. It will give the chickens in the coop a lot more space, and the ducks don't need to go up in the coop. They don't roost on the roosting bars. They really don't need all those nesting boxes. They lay on the floor anyway. So we're hoping to get a duck house put up to keep the ducks and the chickens separated, at least at night when they're cooped up. And then another project is going to be this pond, because although we laid concrete, a lot of the concrete cracked, and so it's still draining too fast for our liking. If we were going to stay here long term, I would invest in something expensive like the rubber seal, and then it would be done and it would never leak again. But because we're not going to stay here, we're just going to get a really large, thick pond liner, and then they can just have their pond filled once and I won't have to worry about that. We got our rooster kennel back here, our main coop, the run for the other coop, play set, the laundry line, the well house in the garden. And then here is our side pasture. It's completely fenced in and it goes all the way down here to the lagoon. Behind the lagoon is more pasture space. There's pasture space behind here. So on to our garden. Last year, we decided to just plant directly into the ground. It did really well for a while, until the moles and gophers decided to take over, and then all of my efforts went to complete waste. Everything that I planted that started to grow and flourish and produce food got completely destroyed. Our harvests last year were little to none. So normally I would be in the garden right now, this time of year, planting, but our goal is to completely gut this garden, build 9 steel raised beds, and plant everything above ground, not in the ground. The raised beds will have 1/4-inch hardware cloth along the bottom, and then we'll lay plastic down and then put those raised beds with the hardware cloth on the bottoms directly onto the plastic. That way we don't have any gophers coming up and under like they did last year, and then we don't have any weed problems. I won't have to weed those beds if the plastic is down, and I won't have to deal with gopher holes if the hardware cloth is down. That's my goal anyway. We'll see what happens this year and which critters decide to test my patience. So the only thing we have growing right now is our garlic, which is doing nice, and our mustard greens. Those are doing all right. So these 2 beds will continue to provide a space for the garlic and the mustard greens. And then once I harvest the garlic, we are going to disassemble and get these out of here. Make space for all of our new raised beds. Taking down the orange netting over there. But we are keeping up this trellis and add another trellis so that I can grow my peas, pole beans, cucumbers. Behind the garden are our fruit trees. So to the left, we have our pear trees. And then to the right, we have our peach trees. I had hoped to clear out the space between the back of the garden and the existing fruit trees and plant more fruit trees. But again, because we're not planning on being here long term, I just don't know if that's going to be worth our time, money, and effort. So that's still up in the air. I guess we could always put the fruit trees in and it would be a benefit to this property for the next people. So that's something that we're discussing. And another thing I'd like to do between the house and the garden is put a greenhouse, because growing year-round for me would be super beneficial for our size family, would cut grocery costs immensely, would cut down on needing the grocery store, I think, a lot for us. And that's my long-term goal, is to just completely get away from the grocery store. There's our side pasture. It's next to this extra house. It's a nice amount of space. I just feel like I wish it was completely bare and we could start from scratch, because it's just so much work to take apart and clean up from other people than if we were just to start from scratch. So thanks for joining me on the homestead today. I hope you enjoyed seeing what our 3 acres looks like, what our plans are. Hopefully one of the next videos coming up is going to be renovating our garden. Our goal is to get those beds raised as soon as we possibly can so that we can get food into the ground. So stay tuned for that. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and hit that bell for notifications. And we'll catch you on the next one.